book of Exodus chapter 23, verse 1. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. That is the Bible. The Mutuse, I want to know from the Mutuse 1, is this impeachment motion really and truly your motion? I ask that question to the Speaker because on all accounts, the witness is unable to prove anything. Is this your motion, or are you called to just sign a motion, then to come and defend it here? Secondly, in the oath of office for the Deputy President, it is required of him to diligently serve the people of the Republic of Kenya in the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The people that reside in the Mount Kenya region are Kenyans. What is so wrong with the Deputy President, a state officer, in defending people from a region in this country and then coming to defend other people in Nairobi and other people in other regions? What is so wrong? What is impeachable about that defense?
One, by the time you are giving us that the wealth of the Deputy President was 5.2 billion Kenyan shillings that you allege has been acquired for the last 2 years, did you access the wealth declaration from EACC? Number one. Number two, under the NCIC Act and in Mudama's case that the courts ruled, is shareholding part of the definition of the word incitement? Number three, in the matter of Kilifi Malindi Road, do you have any evidence to prove whether it is a private or a public road? And if it is either private or public, can you table the evidence or before the House? Number four, clarification on the issue of Justice Esther Maina. Are you telling us that since the Deputy President is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, does he not have a right as a citizen of Kenya not to bring any complaint against any officer, including judicial officers?
People. Paragraph 72 of the motion before you states that His Excellency has persistently undermined, demeaned, and committed insubordination instead of assisting the President. And let's face it, Mr. Speaker, sir, distinguished senators, if you accuse somebody of insubordination, the only person who can complain of being insubordinated is the supervisor. No statement from the President, no affidavit from the President, even no witness summons to the President has been sought here to call him to complain. He has been insubordinated. The Deputy President, when he received this motion, wrote to the Secretary to the Cabinet requesting to be supplied by all assignments given to him by the President and any that he has not delivered. To date, as we stand here, we have not received a response to that letter. And yet we shall be told, just believe the mover of this motion, the Member of Parliament for Kibwezi West constituency, that when he is oscillating between the National Assembly and Kibwezi West to serve his people, he knows better than the supervisor of the Deputy President that the Deputy President has insubordinated his boss. I began by observing.
Ulileta ushahidi hapa mbele ya Senate ukidai ya kuwa Deputy President ako na 5.2 billion. Wewe ni wakili. Na vile unaongea jana unaonekana wakili shupavu. Ulileta ushahidi gani hapa ya kuonyesha valuation ya hii property ya hiyo katika documents yako kuonyesha imefika 5.2 billion? Swali ya pili, ulileta mashtaka 11. Vile unasimama huko leo unaona aibu kidogo kwamba ulilete porojo mingi na mambo mingi kama ukiwa wakili hujafikiria vizuri. Sababu watu wa Marsabit wananiuliza hiyo mtu kweli ni wakili ama ni mtu amekombolewa kutoka huko. Hebu jibu hiyo swali tafadhali.
Senator Betts.
The cross-examination of the mover of the motion, Mwengi Mutuse, has actually exposed the truth that I've been telling you people for the last 2 weeks that I've been concentrating on Rigathi Gachagua impeachment. It is now the public has agreed with what most of us said, that even the movers of this motion are not well canvassed with what they were telling the country. And I said countless times that the bid to remove the deputy president was abuse and machinations of the state to achieve a predicted outcome. And of course, unless the senators decide to do mob justice, if you look at the cross-examination of Mwengi Mutuse, who is Rigathi Gachagua's accuser, you'll be tempted to believe what the senator of Kiambu, what the senator of Kitui is saying. And the senators are wondering whether Mutuse is the author of that impeachment. That document seemed to have been cooked by Kimani Ichung'wah and a clique of politicians that wanted to become the next deputy president. Rigathi Gachagua's legal counsel successfully made Mutuse to be the man impeaching Rigathi. You know, let me explain something. Mutuse is representing the National Assembly. It was the mover of the motion there. So he needed to have witnesses even from the National Assembly and need to have support base from the National Assembly. But because he decided to be used to be the one to try to roast the deputy president, so when he went to the Senate, Rigathi Gachagua's lawyers realized that they needed to go for his head. They needed to go and convince the country that Mutuse is a conman, or Mutuse is a gun for hire. At the end of that cross-examination, Mutuse looked like a pawn, like a clone. And I want us to look at some 3 key areas on this. The Senate, as we speak, confronts a fundamental difference between intelligence and evidence. I want to repeat. The upper house, as we speak, confronts a fundamental difference between intelligence and evidence. Intelligence is never collected to satisfy the rules of a criminal charge. That is the problem Mutuse and Mulwa are facing. The state gathered intelligence around the deputy president, but never crystallized that intelligence into a tangible evidence to nail the deputy president. In some corner, the Senate is on trial and the country is watching. Rigathi is not on trial. The Senate is on trial. Someone called Mutuse in a corner, and this is the picture that comes out. Told Mutuse, go to eCitizen. You will find 22 companies. These 22 companies are linked to the deputy president. That person told him, go to Call Nation, get a screaming headline of 22 companies linked to Rigathi, sensationalize the country. Someone told him, Rigathi had called KEMSA. He wanted a tender. He didn't get it. Put it there. You know, someone called Mutuse. The other person told him, You know, we passed a resolution on this issue of displacement. But when he was there, used that clip to convince the country that he was contradicting the president. I think never again. Never again. It was just a matter of gathering intelligence. And I think probably because Mutuse looked at the caliber of people that called him for that, he decided to go to try to impeach the DP. Probably they will succeed using their numbers. We don't know. And I want us to, and remember when I was analyzing, I told you the Rigathi impeachment is that charge sheet is twofold. The grounds, there is those gross violation, and then there is the criminal violation. So the government realized that shareholding thing, as much as you want to sensationalize the country, but all those MPs, when they look at themselves, those senators, when they look at themselves, when they look at the president, then they'll find no reason to hang this man. They'll find no reason to hang the man from Madeira. So the criminal charges were brought. And you can see the way senators asked questions on those criminal charges, there seemed to be no answer. So let's look at these two. First, listen to this video clip by Mutuse.
According to Peterson Njomo Mushira, how did he acquire this property? Rather, how did his company, that's the correct way of putting it, isn't it? TM Engineering, yes? How did his company acquire this property? The process of acquisition.
He says he entered into a secret arrangement with the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to purchase the property on their...
Who was purchasing the property?
On the understanding that...
No, I'm asking a different question. Who was purchasing the property?
That TM Engineering.
The purchaser of the property is TM Engineering?
Yes.
Who is the registered proprietor of the property?
Let me confirm. This is the Olive Gardens.
Who is the registered proprietor of the property, Olive Gardens Hotel?
I'm tracing the documents. Olive Gardens, the registered proprietor is Philip Wanjema Cargo.
Sorry?
Philip Wanjema Cargo. Is it?
Kindly reverse the page, the volume and the page you're looking at.
This is the volume 2A, page 10 of 123.
So who is that? Who is that?
Is Philip Wanjema Cargo.
I'm asking, who is he? Do you know him?
No, I don't.
Let's look at your affidavit of Njomo.
Yes.
First, you concede, he says the deputy president requested him to buy the property.
In response.
No, requested him to buy the property as a fact.
In the deputy response.
I'm talking about what Njomo is saying. Njomo is saying the deputy president requested him to buy the property.
He entered into a secret arrangement.
No, requested him to buy the property. As a matter of fact, yes?
Yes.
He bought the property. Yes?
Yes. On certain terms of a secret arrangement, according to him.
That the arrangement was that?
That the deputy president would buy the hotel.
Would buy the hotel from him.
By refunding the
No, would
price.
buy the hotel from him by refunding the money.
Yes.
Has he in fact bought it?
He would be the correct
Has he?
person.
No, you are the motion mover. You are here with us. You'll not run away from anything, Mr. Mutuse. Has he in fact bought it?
I would imagine so.
Sorry?
I would imagine so.
When did he buy it?
I do not know.
Oh, you want these senators to impeach this deputy president on your imagination?
I have said, and there is nothing wrong with not knowing. I do not know.
Does Mr. Peterson Jomo Mushira say that, in fact, the DP has bought this hotel? Does he say so, that, in fact, the DP has bought this hotel?
He says.
Does he say that, in fact, the DP has bought this hotel? Yes or no?
He says.
Does he say that the DP has, in fact, bought this hotel? Yes or no?
He says that the deputy president would buy the hotel from me by refunding the purchase price of 412 million set out in the agreement. And
if we believe Mr. Njomo, this is a promise for a future transaction, if we believe him. Yes?
He also goes
if we believe Jomo,
yes.
What he's saying there, this is a promise for a future transaction.
It would appear so.
No. On the face of it, it is a promise for a future transaction, not so?
It would appear so. But
now on this one, I picked this one for Olive Gardens. Because this one for Olive Gardens was introduced last minute. And remember, if you followed this session, this one, this evidence was introduced last minute. And even DP Gachagwa's legal team raised some objections against this. And they said this document had not been served to them. Even though it looked like injustice, but they decided to lose it. And they accepted it to be put. So this affidavit by Peter Njomo was very interesting. And when Ongoya was Ongoya was cross-examining Mutuse, you could even realize that even Mutuse was not so much privy with what was in that affidavit. So someone might have manufactured that. That affidavit, to me, it looks one of the last-minute manufactured affidavit. So, and it's just about imaginations and thinking. The way Mutuse arrived at the estates and the property of the deputy president to be 5.2 is a farad that we cannot even unravel. You know, those MPs are looking at 5.2 billion. So, of course, they want, Mutuse wants the country to believe that those MPs, those senators are worth that money. Those senators, the senators more than worth 10 billion there. So when you're telling the country, when you're telling the women are there about 5.2 billion, they're looking back at their property, they're like, what is so unique, the 5.2? You know, this 5.2 billion is only unique to Wanjiku and me and you. But those senators there, those things Rigathi is being accused of doing, they're doing those things and they're accumulating wealth. Those senators want to become the next governors. Before they go there, they're going to use a lot of money to campaign. So now as we speak, these impeachment cases that are coming to Senate, they're getting a lot of kickbacks, and even themselves, they're getting very huge tenders in government. And they have a lot of money. So Mutuse cannot substantiate that point. So I picked that critical, and you could see the level of imaginations that Mutuse is trying to bring in the picture. The second witness is the KEMSA guy. And I think in one of my videos, before I traveled to Kisumu, I did an analysis and I said that the strongest axis on this issue of criminality, the criminal charges, this one for KEMSA.
Of the bidding process, correct?
Yes.
As a result of non-responsiveness of all the bids, correct? As a result of non-responsiveness.
Yes. After Global Fund differed with the KEMSA Technical Evaluation Committee.
Did the Deputy President have anything to do with that?
I would not say.
Would you associate that to the Deputy President?
I am not competent to talk about that.
I am asking, do you associate that process with the Deputy President?
I cannot comment on that.
You will comment. Do you associate
because
that?
I don't know.
Here we are not in a hospital, we are in a court. seeking to save the life of a man you want to be impeached. Do you associate that with the deputy president?
I am saying I don't know.
What don't you know?
Whether this has everything to do with the deputy president. Because the bids were terminated by Global Fund as a result of irregular evaluation.
Irregular evaluation of how many companies?
Of 17.
17 companies.
Yes.
Thank you. Look at paragraphs 107 at page 22 222 once again. Yes? 107?
It says it was further a testimony that the authority had struggled to maintain autonomy owing to undue interference from the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
Whose authority, whose testimony is this?
I don't know.
Read paragraph, go to page 219. Page 219. Can you see where you have C submissions by Ms. Terry Ramathani?
Yes.
Therefore, these are statement correct?
And I would not say whether they are correct or not.
Read, Mr. Witness.
They are Terry Ramathani.
So we understand who is now speaking at paragraph 17, correct?
Yes.
Read it then.
It was further the testimony that the authority had struggled to maintain autonomy owing to undue interference from the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
The authority had failed to maintain autonomy due to the interferences by?
Yes, that is Terry's statement.
Read it.
By the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
Have you seen any interference that indicates that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya interfered with the process?
I have not
from the report?
And I cannot own or disown it.
I'm asking.
It's not my statement.
Have you seen that statement speaking to the person of the Deputy President?
It is not.
Thank you.
Not mine.
And it speaks as to who was interfering with the processes, correct?
That's not my statement.
Read.
But it's not mine.
Yeah, I know it's not yours. That's
so I cannot own a statement that is not mine.
I have not asked you to own it. I've asked you a simple thing, to read the statement as indicated. Who was interfering with the processes and the autonomy of KEMSA? According to that statement.
According to the statement, the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
What is the name of that Cabinet Secretary? As at then?
Not indicated.
Let's proceed as I finish up. Let's go to page 226. At paragraph 136, what is the Assembly Parliament saying?
In the late April.
In the late April?
He learned from the Global Fund pre-award.
Who learned?
I don't know.
Look at the submissions at page 225.
Myself.
Who learned?
The acting CEO, which is me.
Who was that?
Me.
What did you learn?
I learned in late April that the Global Fund pre-award review report that the Air Alliance tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the bid evaluation.
Do you still maintain the position that you gave, or you want to?
It's exactly what I said.
That's exactly what you say.
Yes.
And therefore that does not link or has no nexus with the Deputy President whatsoever, correct?
I think you are wrong.
What did you say?
You are not right on that one.
Read, what does the statement say? What did you say? What did you say in Parliament?
It says the Global Fund pre-award review that airline tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the evaluation. It is the inconsistencies in evaluation that recommended an award to a bidder that had not paginated documents, which was a mandatory requirement.
I have not asked you that question that you are attempting to answer. I have just simply asked you to read what you stated before Parliament. Then a question will follow. And you read in verbatim.
I have read?
Yes, read it again.
I learned that the Global Fund pre-award review report that the airline tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the bid evaluation. And
what was the reason for the cancellation?
Inconsistencies in evaluation.
In evaluation?
Yes.
Who was evaluating that tender?
Technical Evaluation Committee.
Does the Deputy President sit in that tender committee for evaluation?
He doesn't.
Was he involved? Okay, let's look at paragraph 38. Yes? Again, what are you saying at paragraph 138?
138 says, he further maintained that the advisory to the PS, State Department of Public Health and Professional Study, on the alleged inconsistency in the technical specification neither passed through his office or the head of department for the strategic programs, health programs, but was forwarded directly to the PS by one Dr. Omar, the head of malaria program.
Mr. Witness, you are aware why we are here, yes?
Yes, I am.
Do you understand the charge in respect to this matter that the Deputy President is facing?
I am here to...
Do you understand?
I understand.
You understand that you allege that you are intimidated and bullied by the Deputy President, correct?
Yes, I understand.
And that is contained in your evidence, correct?
Yes.
Why were you being bullied, if at all it ever happened?
I want to believe...
Not to believe. We are not dealing with beliefs here.
Okay.
We are dealing with the facts.
I was bullied to submit bid document for Shobika.
When was the tender cancelled?
In late April.
In late April. As at that time, had you joined KEMSA?
I had not.
You had not joined. When were you purportedly called by the Deputy President?
In August.
In August. At that time, was the tender alive or it had been cancelled?
Yeah.
At that time, was the tender alive or it had been cancelled? What happens upon the cancellation of a tender to bidders who had submitted their documents?
Bid books are returned.
Bid books are returned.
As a routine process.
As a routine process. Therefore, it is normal of somebody.
Now, this KEMSA guy came into this office, came into KEMSA at the tail end of this tender. Now, this tender was not even awarded. And, of course, it was not awarded to that company where the company linked to the child of the Deputy President, which is their local agent. So they were not given the tender. And then they were supposed to pick that tender bid. So they were called, and even if you look, they were called to ask to give it. To some extent, if this tender was awarded to Rigathi, then it would be a charge sheet that will stand. But don't you just see that they just used, and the people that were even in charge of this tender, this case was even closed. Something interesting about it. The case was even a closed case. Elisha. And even the person who was charged, the person who was the CEO of KEMSA, who was charged, who Muller took over from, was cleared and even appointed as an ambassador, was given a state job. So if the case was closed, this one and that one for Esther, the Judge Esther Maina, it was closed. So you go and pick a case that died and you resurrect it and start picking points. And then you could see the way when they're being cross-examined, they're just playing arrogant just to ensure. And of course, he had seen what had happened to Mutuse. They're just playing arrogant so that they ensure that they don't get a strong case. I made some few observations from this Mutuse. The movers of Rigathi motion underestimated the magnitude of this constitutional process. He has nothing, he seemed to have nothing against Gachagua. In fact, he's talking there smiling carelessly. According to me, he is even less motivated to fight Gachagua. He knows nothing. And he's an embarrassment to himself, even the people and the forces behind this impeachment. I tend to believe that the prosecution relies heavily on President Ruto to bulldoze the process just like it was done in Parliament in this impeachment, and they have not done due diligence. They underestimate the intensity of what it takes to impeach a second in command that the country wants to see. While the country is following diligently to see what is this monster? what is this highest level standard that can be created to impeach the deputy president? While the country is looking at that, the movers of the motion depended entirely on the masses of the state machineries to impeach the deputy president. And that is why they've not done due diligence. They knew, Mutuse knew, just like in parliament, and I can tell you, the National Assembly speakers called even special sitting. The bloggers of State House are running, mockery of the deputy president that is going to be impeached. There's nothing going on. Impeachment is a political process. I'm telling you, the state bloggers have told this country everything. The impeachment is a political process. Don't worry about how Mutuse is flopping in the Senate. The senators are going to vote, and the final vote is what counts. They've told the country everything because they believe in the state machinery. The people that once believed on God in heaven now believe on state machinery. So the country has been lectured on those grounds. The fact that William Ruto is hiding behind Mutuse is doing an injustice to this impeachment and disservice to this motion. I can tell you, if Ruto wanted to impeach his deputy, on these claims of even insubordination, even if himself he cannot swear affidavit, but he would have paid some of few handlers to come and say that Rigathi Gachagua has insubordinated me. If he is the accused, he is the supervisor. Did he give some affidavit to Mutuse to complain? Or Mutuse is complaining on behalf of who? Because to the best of Mutuse's knowledge, he's saying that the motion is his own motion, and he has disassociated the president from that motion. He has said he has disassociated the president from that motion. So because he has also disassociated the president, the Senate has to act within its own, put it in its own logical conclusions. I want to say this. The shareholding narrative and the company narrative was used to consolidate 5 charges against the deputy president. So if that is to hold, then deputy president will be found guilty on 5 accounts of charges. I listened to that cross-examination. Just let's get a snippet of that cross-examination by Thomas Sharia. Although the other charges are weak, but this one is very tricky.
By the party officials, can you see that?
Yes, I can see.
His Excellency the President, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Senator of the National Assembly, my village mates and Senator Veronica Maina, Simon Gekuru, Chrysanthus Wamalwa, Ibrahim Mutwafi, and Benedict Furaha. You can see that?
Yes, I can.
And you confirm this is an agreement of the Kenya Kwanza coalition?
Yes, between Kenya Kwanza and PAR.
Very good. Honorable Speaker, I'd now like to play a video. This is video number 7 in the Deputy President's documents.
Hapa Murang'a mumenipatia waziri ambaye anasimamia fedha yote ya Kenya. Anaitwa Profesa Njuguna Ndung'u. Hapa Murang'a mumenipatia chairman ambaye anakusanya ushuru yote Kenya. Anaitwa Bwana Maura, anatoka hapa Kandara. Na nyinyi watu wa Murang'a, waziri wa maji ndio huyu yuko hapa. Kwa hivyo kama kuna watu shareholders wakubwa wa hii serikali ni watu wa Murang'a. Na hiyo kazi nyingine yote tutahakikisha kwamba inatimia.
Stop there.
Watu wa Murang'a tumekubaliana.
Honorable Mutuse.
Council.
Who was speaking in that video?
The President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto.
What words did he use? What did he say to the people of Murang'a?
That he has appointed many of their locals into his government.
Did he say nyinyi watu wa Murang'a ni shareholders wakubwa wa hii serikali?
Yes, he did.
he did.
Yes.
And what, among other things, is one of the primary duties of the Deputy President?
To deputize for the president.
To assist the President.
Yes.
When the Deputy President assists the President in talking about shareholders, how does that become an impeachable offense that does not attach to his prime?
Unless the senators, allow me to repeat this sentence, I had said it before. Unless the senators look through the lens and find it right to forgive Rigathi Gachagua on this, even the legal counsel might not be able to defend Rigathi. It is just Rigathi himself to defend himself. Attempts of drawing the parallels of what Ruto said in the campaign rally and even the coalition agreements has failed. And to some extent, I'm seeing senators a bit irritated that clips of Ruto is being played. On this one, if Rigathi successfully sees through and realizes that I have convinced the Senate that I am not guilty of all these other 9 charges, then he can take there and take a responsibility on this, not stand strongly on denial, but also be a bit remorseful, be apologetic on that issue of shareholding. And I can make a very good prediction. All the other charges will not hold. I'm sure. Unless the state decides to send Rigathi home based on those video clips. And it will be injustice, because the same issue of shareholding, which is a language, which is a political language that even the president has used, it has not been encrypted anywhere. The deputy president has not been charged by anyone for inciting the country. What I realized from this cross-examination is that the last-minute rush to bring evidence was a desperate attempt to nail the DP. And it is not a secret that Mutuse and the whole team behind Rigathi impeachment, they did not have evidence. They did not have a case against the DP. What they had are just emotional clips. Number 2, the weaponization of the state to nail Gachagua is very key. The state has created weapons, sharpened weapons. And that is one of the matters that Senate must look into. I'm glad I've looked at the number of questions, how they're asking questions. They're asking questions that really matter. They're asking the right questions compared to what happened in the National Assembly. The prosecution came with a lot of entitlement. Even without the facts, but they are a bit entitled. They look more entitled to what they are saying. And so Rigathi must be well prepared for his cross-examination, for he has the last kick of the penalty. If he manages to score that penalty, then he will push the Senate in a very tight corner. And the whole country will just see that the Senate vote on how they vote. They will see what has motivated the senators to vote in whatever direction they will vote. If Rigathi puts his penalty in the right spot and decided to dodge the goalkeeper well and scores that penalty, he has a lifeline. Contrary to what the public have been made to believe, that this impeachment is about what the president wants. Sometimes you need to rise above the phone call, above the bribe, above the motive, and look at facts on table. Interrogate your own conscience and just find out, am I doing the right thing? Is it justice? Or am I just acting on directions? The Senate is on trial.